Welcome to the Neuropreneur Rising podcast. If you're a coach or practitioner with ADHD or a busy brain that just doesn't ever seem to work with the norm, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Polly Pollock, and in these episodes, I'm going to be teaching you how to get visible, create reputation online, and sell your signature offer predictably without social media. I'll teach you everything I've learned over the last decade about building a capacity-conscious, life-first, profitable business that's driven by human connection rather than trendy tactics that burn you out, all in a way that works hand in hand with your natural strengths. All right, let's dive in. All right, welcome back. Today we are diving into all things lead magnet and freebie. So I feel like this is a topic that needs to be covered. As we are dealing with very, very outdated information, as with a lot of things in the kind of online business world these days. I see a lot of people struggle, and I hear from a lot of people like, my lead magnet is there, but I just feel like it's not doing its job when it comes to growing my email community or adding value into the process of joining my email community. And I think this tends to be for a couple reasons. So one, you are maybe not getting visible in the right places. You're probably trying to promote your lead magnet and freebie on social media. Like I hear from a lot of people, like, I post my lead magnet on my Instagram stories, once a week, and I do a post with it on. And realistically, that's not a strategy of how to make sure there's a real bridge between where you're getting visible and people joining your email community and having the opportunity to warm them up. That's kind of, posting and hoping. And so what I'm really encouraging is that you have a real strategy. So that's the first thing is, not actually getting visible in the right places. I've done a few very recent episodes going in depth into that. So make sure you go and give them a listen if you feel like that's going to be beneficial to you as well as this. But also, it may be that the lead magnet itself, the freebie itself, is not high enough quality. And in 2026, where information is not at all, we do not have a shortage of information, it needs to be really personalized to, as much as you can, to your potential new community member who you're trying to actually bring into your world. So I'm going to be going through the process of how to make sure that your lead magnet is really, really high quality so that you can bring people into your world. So yeah, that's the two issues that I really see, is not getting visible in the right places and also just a really outdated and low quality lead magnet. And that's not your fault. If you have got that, that's just the information that's out there. So we're going to be crushing all of those little outdated kind of bits of information today, and we're going to make sure you leave this episode with a banging lead magnet. So like I said before, I kind of go into the process with you, it's really, really important to have a standout lead magnet so that people actually join your list and your email community. So what we see a lot of is, let's say you get visible on a podcast episode, or you're teaching in a guest workshop or something to that effect. A lot of people will kind of say, yeah, well, you can join my email community, I'll leave the link, and you can join my email list for updates, and you'll hear from me there. And it's like, okay, great, but realistically a very small percentage of people are going to do that. And that's not because they don't like you or they don't want to hear from you, or they're just not asked. It's just because people really have to not necessarily be incentivized, but something has to be worth it for them. Otherwise we're just kind of asking, although that you can deliver really great trainings and weekly emails of value that they're going to get in their inbox every week, they don't know that. And so it needs to be put in a way that they're going to get value first. And this is what I always say, value first, service first. That's how it works. And so when you're getting visible, in various opportunities, unless you have something that your listener can really make use of pretty much straight away, and, you know, incentivize the process of bringing them into your world, the likelihood is, you know, they're going to know where to find you. They might follow you on Instagram or something like that, but you may lose that lead because you haven't actually brought them into your world like your email community, which is the most sustainable place. That's like should be, you know, is what I teach here, is make that the central hub of your marketing. The likelihood is, unless you have a route for them to get there that's going to be beneficial to them, you're likely going to lose that person. And so my second issue with lead magnets these days, and again, this is one I see a lot when I'm reviewing lead magnets or I'm just talking to people about their lead magnets. We're still stuck in the kind of 5 years ago advice of, okay, I'm just going to create like a PDF or like a worksheet or like an introduction PDF telling them about like the work that I do or whatever it is, and hope for the best. And realistically, that probably works like before the coaching boom of 2020-ish, 2021, 2022. And maybe that was enough, but it's not enough anymore, and that's because information is not hard to come by whatsoever. We we have so many people doing some kind of online business coaching, teaching, you name it, people do it, and that's why information is not, you know, is not scarce anymore. Not to mention the big one of why information is not scarce anymore, which is AI. People can literally just Google shit and have an AI overview of the answer, or ask ChatGPT. So information, and just kind of like a dump of information, is not what we want to be leading with our PDF. With our PDF, with our with our lead magnet. Don't create a basic ass PDF, basically, is what I'm saying. So we want to make sure that lead magnet is going to be something that is truly beneficial to the person who's going to get it. It's going to give them that first step into our world, but it's also going to be something that is going to be majorly valuable to them. So I'm going to be walking you through that. And by the end of this episode, you will pretty much have the outline, if you take some notes, which I recommend that you do, the outline to your lead magnet. Now, of course, half of the game of this is in the marketing, making sure you position this well, making sure that the language you actually use on your landing page and like how you promote it and how you talk about it, that's a completely, you know, different box of frogs. But what I am gonna make sure that you walk away with today is the outline, at the least, of your new lead magnet. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to get into what your lead magnet needs to do and what you need to make sure that it kind of has, and then we will put it together after I kind of lay it out and some questions that you can answer. So grab your notepad. So point number one of what your lead magnet, your freebie, needs to do. So your freebie needs to be something that your ideal client is going to like specifically use and really want to jump on like a rash as soon as they hear about it. I know the general kind of advice is like, you know, create something that's going to give them a quick win. And yes, but it kind of takes away from the depth that actually your lead magnet kind of needs. Because if you just kind of give them one quick win of like, you know, a journal prompt or something like that, it was just like, you know, a very quick win. That's nice, but it doesn't serve a purpose. So what we really want your lead magnet to do is serve a purpose. And so I would kind of look at it, rather than just like, oh, it's going to give them any old quick win. I would say it needs to be something that helps them take the first step towards the main transformation that they're trying to get to. If that makes sense. So, you know, don't overwhelm people with, you know, the whole piece, the whole cake, just that first slice, basically. And, you know, guiding people to take that first step. So number two is a really important one. So you need to not only look at the problems and desires of your ideal client, like, yes, that is really important, but this is so crucial. You need to look at the market, so your industry, and what your ideal clients are drowning in right now. So this is very important, because you may be creating something for, you know, the problems and desires of your ideal client, but if you're not aware of what your own industry, you know, is doing, you won't know what they've had too much of already, and how your USP can really shine through. So I'll use my my lead magnet for an example, right? So I know that, you know, the if I was to really pull it back, this is really pulling it back because as you will also feel, there is so much more depth to your work than what you can sum up in a nutshell. But for these purposes, we kind of have to, and then we can add all the little trinkets and bells and whistles later. So, you know, pulling it right back, the problems and desires of my ICA, you know, haven't built up that consistent sustainable income yet, are really trying to kind of take their business to that full-time sustainable level, and can't seem to get clients through the door, posting away on social media and hoping for the best, like all of those things. And what I know is that the market at the moment, and has been for the last however many years, is just feeding people more virality, you know, more post on social media. You're just not doing it right. Like, you just need to post more, or you just need to post different. And like, the game's changed again, and all this fucking tactical bullshit. And sorry, bit vexed. So whoa, settle down. Someone hose me off. So I know that that's what the market is drowning in. And I won't go into my, oh God, here we go, me going into my whole story. No, don't do it. Keep it simple for the purpose of this exercise poll, you oversharer. So I know that I need to come away from that. And what my specific ICA needs, you know, being ADHD, busy brain, is the sustainable approach, building out the sustainable foundations, and not on social media. You know, we need to build those sustainable visibility and community and sales foundations first. So my lead magnet, actually a relatively new one, is called, pardon the, it's just so funny, the name, I just can't, it's the antisocial marketing kit. So that's my lead magnet. So I know that that is creating friction with what the market is just shoving in people's faces at the moment, right? And it's going to give people that first step of getting visible without social media. So that's my promise for the lead magnet is you're going to have a you know, it's a 2-part kit. You're going to be guided through a training where I'm going to teach you how to get visible and create your community off of social media. And then you're going to have that second part of the kit, which is a customizable Notion dashboard where you can plan out your own first steps of getting visible on a routinely weekly basis without social media. So you can start getting the wheels turning. So that's a promise. It's you can take the first steps, and it really feeds people in a way that the market isn't right now. My industry isn't right now for the most part, right? So hopefully that kind of puts it into a bit of perspective so you can see my own example there. So have a think about what your particular ICA needs right now and what their problems are and what they really are trying to get to, how you can give them that first step, but also how you can give them something that the market is currently not giving them, if that makes sense. And so point number 3 I've kind of covered, but I'm gonna cover it again. So you need to decide that one thing that you can promise people with the freebie, and that one step that you're essentially going to help them take, rather than like the whole thing that you do. So you know, you don't want to overwhelm people with like a whole rundown of the entire problem that you help them solve. So for example, like I wouldn't give them the entire rundown of what we cover in NFSA, because they're not going to be able to implement little bits of information around that in a short format. So I'm giving them that first step in terms of the visibility. So an example of this would be, so just to keep it kind of general, let's say I'm a dietitian, and a good example would be maybe like a self audit of your current diet plus your first week of meals generated off the back of that and your goals. So they've got that, like, oh great, I can do an audit of what my diet is right now, where my goals are, and then my first week of meals from that. And then a bad example would be like an overview of the XYZ diet, or an overview of XYZ nutrition, or something like that, or like a guide on how XYZ can help you. You know, you're picking up what I'm throwing down, you know, that kind of thing. So it really is a micro win that is actually really big, because they can implement it straight away. So something that feels like a small step is actually really huge, because they're going to be able to do something with it. So point number 4, you need to make sure the format here of your lead magnet so that's like how you're laying it out and how you're delivering it is actually digestible and usable for people. So again, the rise of AI, meaning that information alone is just very like meh, and time really is a currency now as well, meaning that, you know, the more condensed your lead magnet can be, the better. Because ultimately, like, this is what I always say, it may be really valuable, but if people don't get around to doing it, the lead is potentially just wasted, and someone's going to drop off because they won't see the value because they haven't had the chance to actually dive into it. So making sure that the format is really, really digestible and doable for people, because like realistically, everybody has busy lives. Everybody has busy lives. So we want to cater to that, no matter what the industry. So, and again, like all of this is can be done on a case by case, but I'm kind of talking in a general sense. Something that would be really a good kind of format, maybe something like a 45-minute training. And again, totally depending on what your industry and your niche would be, this could be a terrible for your for your like specific industry. But if, you know, as an example of, you know, most industries, so something like a 45-minute training or a half an hour training or a masterclass with like a self-start pack where they can go and take the first steps like by themselves, or something similar, where they can learn something and then take it and do something with it straight away. Something that would be potentially a not so great example, maybe a 7-day email course, or like something that's drip fed to them over email, kind of like every day. That those don't tend to do so well anymore, statistically. Just one, obviously the information thing. People struggle to finish courses as it is, but with the email thing, you know, people essentially need to be setting aside time for that every single day for 7 days. The likelihood of that is actually really, really low. Then when that doesn't happen, people kind of might get a little bit frustrated, like, oh, I've already missed 3 days, like, kind of what's the point? Or like, I'll set aside time for it, and then they don't. So it needs to be as condensed and as valuable as possible. So again, kind of relating to, you know, don't give away the whole pie, give away the slice of a pie. A slice of the pie, sorry, my words. So number 5 here, just making sure that it's something that someone can see a result with, and that initial like first step that kind of shows them, oh yeah, actually this is possible. I've done that first step and I can almost vision it now. But it also leaves them educated, curious, and trusting of the next steps in your main offer, or the main kind of the rest of the problem that you're going to help them solve. And that normally comes at the, you know, you can kind of mention, you know, within your freebie, you know, this is something I cover in X, Y, and Z. Obviously, don't litter your freebie through like with just pitch throughout, because that's really not cool. And if someone signs up for something of value and you've done it for free or paid, whatever, you shouldn't just use it as a way to pitch, but you can soft mention it at the end of kind of the freebie, whatever it is. You know, if you want to explore how we can, you know, do X, Y, and Z together, you know, come and book a chat with me, or whatever it is that you're kind of leading them on to. That's absolutely fine. And you can soft mention it maybe once if you feel that fits, if it's not too out of place, you know, within the freebie itself. But don't mention it like 1,000 times, because that's just breaks trust immediately, because someone thinks, oh great, well you've just fucking used me as a like a place to pitch. So only if it fits, you know, at the end is fine. You know, when it comes to soft mentioning it inside the actual freebie itself, don't do it unless it just naturally flows, or you feel like it would be beneficial to mention. So, my God, let's put this into practice. So here's where I want you to grab that. Why did my head just say, like, this is, I don't know what goes wrong in my head sometimes. I literally was just about to say ass, grab that ass. It's early in the morning. I don't know why I was just about to say grab that ass, but yeah, grab that ass, grab that notebook, and get your pen out. So yeah, grab your notebook of what the fuck is wrong with me, and let's put this into practice. So I'm going to ask you a few questions that will kind of help you outline the first steps of your freebie. Please also know that you can DM me on the gram. I obviously don't post on there anymore. I kind of use it for that sense, but I love a DM. I am talking to people all the time in the DMs because obviously I love to run my mouth. So please DM me or email me, even if that's more your kind of scene, with your freebie, your lead magnet result, and we can talk it through. I can give you some feedback, or if you have a question or something that's like not quite sorry, hay fever, not quite sunk in, then yeah, pop me over a DM at Polly Pollock Official on Instagram. So question number 1, what does your ICA really, really, really need right now? So like I said, think about their problems, desires, the solution that they're trying to get to. What's that first step? Think about what's that starting point of them really like going towards fixing their problem in a really desirable way. So have a little think about that, and you can pause this while you write that down. 2, so what are they drowning in right now in terms of what they're trying already? So what are other coaches or practitioners in your niche just churning out like it's going out of fashion? So what are they, and this might take a bit of market research, and I would really recommend doing that. Something that we cover a lot in NFSA in that first kind of phase, and people are like, oh my god, this is like game changing, and it sounds so boring, doesn't it, market research, but we make it fun. So I would recommend doing a little bit of looking around and having a bit of a stalk. So yeah, what does your ICA really need right no, my gosh, my head just went back to question 1. What are they drowning in right now? So what are they trying already, and what are other kind of coaches in your industry and your niche just really churning out? And then question number 3, so what's that one outcome that you can solidify in your freebie? What can you kind of promise that they'll get, or they'll be able to create, or they'll be able to do from your freebie? That doesn't mean, when I say promise, I don't mean use this freebie and all your problems will be solved, and I promise you that, and you'll make 100k, or like you'll get skinny from my diet plan in my freebie, like that'll be it. But I mean, by promise, I mean, what are they going to be able to leave with? So for example, my freebie, I would say you're going to leave with the first steps to be getting visible off of social media, and you'll be actually able to put that into practice with that, not only the education but the tracker and the Notion dashboard as well. So you're actually going to be able to go and do it. And for the diet plan example that I used before as well, so the promise to that might be that you will leave with a full review of your diet plan plus your next week of meals planned out. So that's a promise, that's a clear promise. So that's what I mean when I say promise, just in case there was any confusion. And then number 4, so what format are they going to have the easiest time completing? So don't think about general format of like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I really want you to get into the mind of your ideal client now. Think about their life, think about the problem that they have, think about their capacity, think about how they generally like to consume information. I want you to just really be like zoned in on your ideal client, and think about what format they're going to have the easiest time getting into, and then from that you can start putting it together. So that is it, and I hope that kind of clears up any confusion that you might have had around your freebie, or if you think that your freebie just isn't really doing its job, or you feel like it's outdated, or you just feel like you've created something that you're not sure of, then yeah, I hope this really helped you. So also, just wanting to mention that I currently have a few places open for you to join me in the Neurofriendly Sales Accelerator for 4 months. So if you're joining now, by the end of summer / start of fall, I have to just do that calculation in my head. What month are we in? Damn, yeah, start of fall. For some reason I thought we were in June. We're not, we're in July at the time of this recording. So at the time of this recording, by the end of summer, by the start of fall, we're in July. So if by the start of fall, yeah, there we go. You really want to be fully set up to be onboarding clients into your standout offer that is profitable and sustainable and sells effectively, getting visible consistently online. And by consistently, I do not mean showing up every day. It's consistently with a system and a system that works with you and doesn't expect you to show up every single day and dance on a reel or some weird shit in the places that your ideal client can easily find you without using social media. Create a warm and ready to buy and ever growing email community that you can nurture once a week, and sell your signature offer on repeat using ethical, human first sales strategies. Then this is your doorway in, and I would love to be your mentor. So you can head over to the show notes, the description, and you'll see the link to check out the details there. Or if you're in front of a computer or you have your phone, you can go to www.neuropreneurrising.com/NFSA and you can see the details and you can apply. When you click the button on the page to apply, you'll see a button to book a call. It will just have literally a couple of very brief questions. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you through the hell of filling out a 6-page form, and we will jump on a call. It really is just to see if NFSA is a fit. It's not a pushy sales call where you're going to kind of be feeling like it's an obligation or backed into a corner. My job in these calls really is just to see where you're at and see if NFSA is a fit and could be the thing that will get you to where you need to be. So it's super chill. And if you feel like NFSA is something that you're interested in and you would like my support, then I'd love for you to book that call and we can have a little chat. All right, I will see you guys in the next episode. Alright guys, that is a wrap for today, and if you loved this episode, I would be so grateful if you could leave a review and maybe even share it with a business buddy who you think would really get something from it too. It really does make a huge difference. The more reviews and shares, etc. that this podcast gets, the more it gets pushed out to other creative, brilliant, neurospicy business owners who really need to hear this stuff. And honestly, I just want more people like you to know that success does not have to look the way that we've been told it does. So the more you help me get this into the right hands, the better. And if you're ready to take things a step further and get some real support, just head to the description and you'll find the link to the Neuro-Friendly Sales Accelerator, which is my 4-month signature marketing coaching program for neurodivergent entrepreneurs. From there, you'll be able to book a free strategy call with me. We'll have a chat to see where you are and see if it's the right fit, and we will go from there. All right, see you in the next one.